Okay, let's go through these you-try examples together. So here are the answers. For the first one, I want 2 times the square root of 8, which is going to equal 2 times the square root of 4 times 2, which is equal to 2 times the square root of 4 times the square root of 2, which is equal to 2 times the square root of 2, which is equal to 4 times the square root of 2. For the second example, this is going to equal 3 times the square root of 9 times 2, which is equal to 3 times the square root of 9 times the square root of 2, which is going to equal 3 times the square root of 2, with the final answer of 3 times 3 is 9 times the square root of 2. For the third example, I have 5 times the square root of 12, which is 12 can be written as 4 times 3. So this is going to equal 5 times the square root of 4 times the square root of 3, which is equal to 5 times 2 times the square root of 3. 5 times 2 is 10, so the final answer is 10 times the square root of 3. For the next problem, 2 times the square root of 200 is going to equal 2 times the square root of 100 times 2, which is equal to 2 times the square root of 100 times the square root of 2, which is equal to 2 times 10 times the square root of 2, which equals 20 times the square root of 2. For the next one, this is going to equal 3 times the square root of 4 times 7, which is equal to 3 times the square root of 4 times the square root of 7, which is going to equal 3 times 2 times the square root of 7, for a final answer of 6 times the square root of 7. Up next, 5 times the square root of 4 times 6 is going to equal 5 times the square root of 4 times the square root of 6, which is going to equal 5 times 2 times the square root of 6, for a final answer of 10 times the square root of 6. Last three here. 3 times the square root of 20 is simplified down to 3 times the square root of 4 times 5, which is going to equal 3 times the square root of 4 times the square root of 5, which will equal 3 times 2 times 5, with a final answer of, this is times the square root of 5, with a final answer of 6 times the square root of 5. Two more. I've got 5 times the square root of 98. This is going to simplify to 5 times the square root of 49 times 2, which is going to equal 5 times the square root of 49 times the square root of 2, which is equal to 5 times 7 times the square root of 2, for a final answer of 35 times the square root of 2. Last one, 7 root 6. Root 6 does not simplify at all, so this cannot be simplified. This is just 7 root 6.